The data that we have available now for research is maybe 2 or 3 levels of magnitude more than what we had even 10 years ago. With Mimic, for example, we now have medical imaging available. So we have about 350,000 x-rays that are linked with the entire electronic health record. We are about to release a repository of echocardiograms and ECGs, and they are about 100 terabytes worth of data that it's linked with very important clinical data, including outcomes. So you could imagine what sort of predictions you could build coming from the ECG, coming from the chest x-ray, coming from the echocardiogram that we did not think possible in the past. But there's a caveat there. What we've learned as well last year is that it is trivial for computers to learn sensitive attributes that are not very obvious to human experts. We have a study that we released last year where we demonstrated that computers can tell if a chest x-ray belongs to a patient of color, to a white patient or a black patient, even in the absence of any clinical data. And we made sure that there is no embedded metadata within the images. There has been studies that show that computers can figure out if the image of the back of the eye belongs to a woman or a man. And ophthalmologists were blown away because they themselves cannot tell if a fundus photo belongs to a woman or a man. And more concerningly, there are groups, including ours, that demonstrated that computers can learn easily if you're rich or poor just from your imaging alone. We were able to train a computer to predict if you have Medicaid or if you are on private insurance, even if you feed them with chest x-rays with the same diagnosis. So again, they are catching features that are not visible to the human eye that they learn from. And why does it matter if computers can tell if you're black or white, if you're a man or a woman, if you're binary or non-binary, if you're rich or poor? The concern there is that these features are going to be used by computers to make decisions. And that's because we're using human data to train computers. So the computers are going to pick up all our unconscious implicit biases when we make decisions. And pretty soon, the computers are going to not offer chemotherapy to someone because that person is black, because that person is poor, not because of clinical reasons. The biggest realization over the last few years, especially after the Black Lives Matter movement and the Me Too movement, is that our understanding of health and disease is laced with a lot of bias. The physiology, pathophysiology, mechanistic models that we memorize in medical school and during residency training might not be applicable to every patient that we have. Our understanding of Alzheimer's disease is primarily based on observations of white male individuals with Alzheimer's disease, and there is a strong probability that they may not apply to people in Brazil or in Uganda with Alzheimer's disease. So I think we have to be skeptical in a healthy manner of everything that we memorize, and every time we look at a study, every time we prescribe a medication, every time that we use a medical device, we have to ask ourselves, what kind of evaluation has this particular health product undergone? Who were the test subjects when this medication underwent phase 3 trial? Are most of the participants in the clinical trials young white male individuals? When you buy a wearable sensor, you have to ask yourself, how did they design this wearable sensor? Is it primarily young Bavarian males because it's coming from Germany? And can we trust this when we ask our 72-year-old Hispanic overweight patient to provide us with data as we start using them in clinical care? So I think we need to have a healthy dose of skepticism in almost everything that we do in medicine now. I suspect that there will be a major overhaul of the medical knowledge in the future, that medical knowledge would be more local rather than coming from a single textbook that we're hoping to disseminate through all the medical trainees around the world.